So uh, a question for you, or a statistic. Uh, an important statistic is that that the biggest cause of death is cardiac arrest. Um, Rising in women, actually. Um, Cardiac arrest is certainly. I'm not a doctor. I don't know much about it, but I'm just now thinking of it as an engineer. There's something about restriction of blood flow, certainly. And if that be the case, the restriction of blood pressure, which is a sign of a heart that's not pumping decently. Anyway, what I'm interested in is, and I don't know if there's even a direct correlation, but I bet there is. So I bet those that have cardiac arrest, population-wise, majority of the women have also very stressful lives. In cardiac arrest in men, majority of the men that have cardiac arrest, if you look deeper than the cause of death, cardiac arrest, the next step would be what is it that led up to a cardiac arrest, and some could be just a happening without cause, of course, and or a genetic cause, or uh, nothing else determines it. The heart just stops. The person could have a fairly good life, stress-free life. So what I'm saying is that not every medical condition is due to uh, a mindset within the person that has the medical condition and the cardiac arrest. I'm interested in though. I bet you the lion's share of cardiac arrests or deaths, if you look behind it a step further, I believe that what will be found is stress, anxiety. Yeah, well, so what? Don't know how many ways to take this, and anxiety being, again, thoughts that are held in the head. This is all anxiety is, and and some of it genetic, but 90% of it, or some of propensity to have anxiety, but the lion's share of anxiety is caused by the thoughts that we hold in our head about future disaster, and the thoughts that we hold in our head about historical occurrences that were awful or uncomfortable, or even the tape of, well, I should have said this or I should have done this, talking about an event that has happened historically, either close or a long time ago. But what I want to talk about tonight is related to stress, and or stress is a derivative of anxiety. Anxiety comes, let's just say, the geneticists outside. Let's talk about the larger part of the curve where anxiety comes from a mind that's a thought that's held in the mind. It's the creation of the mind. It's just like there is nothing to fear because fear is in the imagination. If you can be in the moment, there is no imagination. Something disastrous happening, which causes fear and anxiety. But that's another branch, another adjective, fear, versus what I'm talking about is stress of the heart, stress to the heart, constricted blood vessels, and other seemingly random things happening. Constriction of arterial passageways or even valves in the heart. Trying to get this right here. So I think it's worth asking the next question. So it's anxiety is heart attack, lion share heart attacks, the chain of effects, heart attack up, anxiety up, a held thought in the mind which causes anxiety, future based or historically based. If you have an upcoming event or your life is not settled and you're trying to figure out how, you're in imagination. A lot of it's necessary in terms of problem solving, but what I'm talking is the distinct object, or let's just say, let's just for conversation purposes, there's a large event coming up, and we will think about that and think about the event, and we'll think about the negative the negative conclusion or the negative event or a negative thing, whatever, a negative change in your life is going to come about because of a particular outcome of a situation or an event. And then I want to talk about a very common a posture held by many people, more and more so it seems like, is 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 made up of this posture I'm talking about. A posture, I just use the word because one is posturing a particular thing, and here I want to say that particular thing, the human is I want to talk about a particular thing that causes anxiety and causes distress and causes perhaps early death. There are multiple different psychosomatic effects by holding something that is not true. So I wanted to talk about war within. It's quite simple. What I mean with the war within is that the due to historic events, you've concluded that the only way to respond to these events is to hate them, is to push them down in a way as far as possible. And every time they peek their head up and wanting to be understood and heard and held and healed, it's a bunch of H's there, understood, heard, held and healed. Ooh ha, ooh ha, ooh ha. Three H's. A U and three H's. Not a very good acronym. It's not very catchy. So you don't want to understand, you don't want to hold, invite, understand, and heal yourself from the events that took place early in your life that you have decided to be against these things that have happened to you. What I'm saying is this possible, it's possible that these events that you're not willing to bring to let them rear their heads as they often do. So what happens is you become at war with these things, especially if they're knocking loud at your door and they're in your thoughts. Your action is to push them away, push them away, push them away. You see? Hmm. So not only is this a sloppy diagnosis of a split in the mind, or commonly known as PTSD, or even it can even cause a split personality if it's so overwhelmingly painful to the mind. The mind can actually take off somewhere else. Anyway, I'm talking about the war that you have against whatever has happened in your life. And now what you've done with that war is to see it in more places than one, because inside you're at war with that. So you have war on. War is on. War is on. Because you're having to defend against the thing and the things that have happened to you, that you have to keep a shield up, and you have to be armed, and you have to be ready to go to war at any second to not feel and hear a past pain. So what happens, ironically, and I don't know if you're what not ironically, what happens, and some may be surprised to know that, well, maybe not, that this war within causes one to find then it's hard to completely let this thing go that's causing you war. You can't just keep it in a back pocket, because it will be everywhere for you, because it wants to come out. It wants to be healed. It wants to be known. It wants to be understood. And it wants to be accepted and loved. That's why these things keep knocking loudly. Your history, because they want to be looked at. You see, give them a chance of healing. So what I'm saying is, it's very difficult to be at war and a major thing in your life. It's obviously major, otherwise you wouldn't be deflecting it. It's difficult to keep that there and not let your sense of war affect you with other interactions in the world, persons persons and places. So here you are, you're armed to the teeth, and then you're out in the general culture, common where other people go. You have the war still going on because of the bloody war over here that you're trying to avoid. historic events bleeds into your current life. So now you're armed and you're at war and you're seeing war because you're seeing war over here against that which you don't want. So you're seeing war here where war does not even exist. You're seeing it out here. So they call war within. You'll find war without. I never like the term without because to me it sounds like without. You're not holding something. You're without something. You're without. But what I like to say is war within, and then one finds war out here where it doesn't even, there's no war going on. You go into as innocent as going into uh, uh, a store or a place where people gather or go, and then you'll find war in that place, in where people gather and go. You'll find something wrong with it. You'll find someone that you feel is becoming at war with you. But a lot of times it's just an illusion. This person is not warring with you. It's just that you have so much war going on within you that you think that someone else is warring with you, or some other place is at war with you, as it pushes those buttons of war that turn on war even more within. So you see someone that looks familiar to that person that you're at war against. That can actually spawn you adrenaline wise, shortness of breath and anxiety, and then you find war out here, or someone can perhaps what you think offend you, and you will quickly jump to war. And what I'm saying is that in order, if you have war within, it will mirror the society out here, the cosmos, the reality will be defined as something that you are at war with out here. If you have war within you, you will also commonly find those wars out here, which oftentimes is completely inaccurate. It is completely inaccurate if you're comparing it to a historical war. That historical war is bleeding into your current life, and you will be short to react and resort to war if there are things in here that you're at war with your parents or a friend, your parent, an event that's happened around your family of origin and that you don't like. So now you don't like the people involved with that event. So there's war, and then you'll bring it since you're at war so much. These events and these people that occurred, and you're sure it shouldn't have happened that way, and you're justified in your war. You see, with them. And it's a very big price to pay to be at war because now you're at war everywhere. So, what I'm suggesting is that instead of dying of a cardiac arrest, that you do not be at war. That you do not hold anger, resentment, or blame. And the way to get rid of the war within and get rid of the war out here that you will continually find because of war within, one must deal with these issues of anger, resentment, and blame. and probably others. But anger, resentment, and blame covers most things. So anger, understand why you're angry, not understand just why you're angry, as in, well, she did this or he did that. That's why I'm angry. What I'm saying is understand the person that is in your image of the event. Under it must be you must work at understanding that person's position, understanding that person's reasons why they did what they did. So this is it's very easily, it's much more easily said than done. But if you just act like a sleuth or a private detective, figure out how this, you examine carefully of how this person is reacting in a way that you happen to particularly not like, but take the like or not like out of it and look at it objectively in terms of the other person's reasons, why they did what they did, and then you will be able to move further along this procession of uh, the beauty of giving up the war, and hence the beauty of giving up seeing war everywhere else. So, and what happens when you understand the individual, you're able to, there isn't a necessity to, oh, well, in order to get rid of war, I have to forgive the person. Forgiveness comes, forgiveness is a second stage word, and it's a little bit convoluted, confusing in that you think you're giving up something when you forgive. What I'm saying is forgiveness doesn't have anything to do with it. Understanding is the hallmark. Understanding, if you want, can say is the mother of forgiveness. Forgiveness is easy when you understand the person and why and their reasons for what they did that you're upset about. But once you know the reasons, then you're free. Of anger, because anger is a stab in the dark, trying to, you conclude false falsely this person doesn't know what they're doing, or they're just a bad person, or they're out to get you. And even if they're out to get you, you think they're a bad person. Either it doesn't matter what their rationalization is, what you're thinking. What I'm saying is just understand it. Just understand it. Understand the event that made you unhappy. However many people may be involved. Or do the best you can. There might be parts that you don't understand, and which you really can't make a judgment upon if you don't understand it. Might be something you don't even know of why they do it, why a person did what they did, and what their reasons are. So what falls away when understanding, what falls away is anger, and understanding, what falls away is resentment. You can no longer carry resentment. because you're understanding, hopefully, is the first step. So it gets rid of anger, and if you're not angering, you're not resenting, and if you're not resenting, you're not blaming. Oh, you're the reason for my distress. Oh, you're the reason for my distress. You're just distressed because you're not accepting the individual's reasons for what they did, just to understand it. it, it it's it's simple to alleviate yourself of anger, resentment, and blame if you just understand where the person is coming from, understand where the group experience is coming from, or the group, if it's more than one person. So it's very simple. It's a very direct teaching. And of course, the trick is putting forth the effort in understanding the totality of the event. And once you understand it, you are free from it. When you are free from it, you can now breathe more healthily and deeply, like Katniss. He likes me to pull on it. I'm teaching him for me to pull on his teeth. And when he gets to be adult, I'll keep doing it. That way I get to open up his, see how he lets me open up his mouth. Big old wide mouth. With these nice big canines. Show him your canines. Yeah. Wow. So give this a shot. And understanding the reasons why people do what they do is not necessarily an easy thing to come about. It takes some concentration and some benefit of the doubt and some mercy and some grace and a lot of times it takes some thinking and effort to understand others. But by understanding others, then you're not connected to them in terms of how they cause you to be miserable. It's not possible if you just understand that they're a human being doing this for this reason. It's not personal. It's not personal. They would do this with any person that's in a similar statute or role as you yourself are. So we're way over time. So thank you.